After rising through the ranks of fashion at an incredible speed and creating a multi-million-dollar empire, this fashion mogul met a tragic end. Gianni Versace was born on December 2nd, 1946. He grew up in Reggio Calabria in the south of Italy. His dad was named Antonio, and his mother's name was Francesca. Antonio was an appliance salesperson, while Francesca was a dressmaker and clothing store owner. Together, the couple had 4 children: Fortunata, Santo, Gianni, and Donatella. When Gianni was just 6 years old, tragedy struck while visiting a carnival with his family. Fortunata fell and scraped her knee. She contracted tetanus and was treated with the wrong medicine. Less than 24 hours after the fall, she passed away, still wearing her party dress. 3 years later, Donatella was born. While Donatella never got to meet her older sister, Santo and Gianni carried their great grief with them forever. And unfortunately, it wouldn't be the family's last sudden death. From early on, little Gianni's favorite place was his mother's workshop. Here, he saw his mom create beautiful wedding dresses for the brides of their community. And he not only watched her make clothes, but he also admired the chic women who came into her shop. Spurred on by his mom's talent, Gianni made his very first dress at the age of 9. It was beautiful. It was blue. One-shoulder evening gown. His mom was delighted, and Gianni rejoiced in pride. Little did anyone know that the Princess Diana would eventually wear a version of that creation some 40 years later. As you can see, it didn't take long for Gianni to fall in love with fashion, and his dream to one day become a fashion designer started very early. By his mid-20s, he had moved to Milan and was already earning 6 figures a year as a designer. At the time, Milan was the hot new epicenter of fashion and a true place to be for those aspiring established fashion designers. In 1978, he set up his own boutique in Milan's Villa della Spica, which is the main shopping street in Milan, and his first collection was shown at March 28th at the Contemporary Art Museum Permanente. Versace was refreshing and oddly provocative. People loved it. And Gianni soon became the darling of Milan. This, in turn, ignited a bitter rivalry with Giorgio Armani. The saying went, Armani addresses the wife, Versace addresses the mistress. Over the next decade, Versace exploded onto the scene. And wanting to leave his mark on the world, he made sure to revolutionize the fashion industry by doing a couple of things differently. One of those things was using multiple elements in the same dress. At the time, this was still very uncommon. But Gianni loved nothing more than mix and match. From lace and leather to metal studs and Swarovski crystals, everything could be found on his creations. Another thing that set the Versace brand apart was the fact that the company was dead set on being 100% independent. Thanks to this desire for independence, Versace became one of the few big labels in control of its entire product cycle, from design to retailing and marketing. You see, Gianni was an exquisite designer and creative talent, but when it came to marketing his products, he was a true genius. He was the first designer to take his runway shows to other major markets, such as Paris and New York, and he stressed the importance of only using supermodels and high-level photographers. He made stars of Linda Evangelista, Christy Turkington, and his runway show favorite, Naomi Campbell. In his provocative style, he offered a refreshing contrast to the simplicity of his predecessors. Versace was vibrant, sultry, and fun. He understood the whole idea of getting dressed is not so much to cover yourself up, but about being attractive, said fashion expert Hall Rubin. He believed that you should dress to attract attention. In addition to relying on supermodels to show off his clothes, Gianni also recognized the Immerse brand clout he could receive through celebrities. He began making clothes for Elton John, Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, Cher, and countless other celebrities, and suddenly everyone wanted to wear the same dress that Cher had worn or the same shirt that Elton John had on. This meant a flood of new customers for Versace. But would he be able to keep up? Besides knowing who best to rub shoulders with, Gianni also had a knack for discovering and nurturing raw talent. Gianni took me to his show when I had 2 pictures in my book, and I was not so famous at all, recalls Carla Bruni. We were young and fragile. Versace treated us like we were princesses, like we were part of his family. The women chosen by Versace weren't just regarded as tools for modeling his clothes either. They became part of his world, and the Versace world was a place that everyone wanted to belong in. By the early 90s, Gianni became increasingly emboldened by his success, and he launched his most daring clothing line ever, the Miss S&M Bondage Collection. Donning tight-fitting leather and an authoritative look on their faces, the models strutted the catwalk, and while the show was highly controversial, it also proved insanely popular. After the show, Gianni even joked that half of Manhattan is now walking around in a harness. That same year, Gianni settled in Miami, Florida. He spotted a beautiful villa in South Beach, bought it, and called it the Villa Casa Casarina. Gianni loved the place, and after more than $30 million in renovations, the iconic Versace mansion was established. For the next 5 years, Gianni lived here in peace, but then disaster struck. On the morning of July 15, 1997, a 50-year-old Gianni was up by 6 a.m. He made calls to Milan and finished up some more work, and then he headed out. He was a regular at the Ocean Drive restaurant where he bought a coffee, exchanged greetings with the manager, screwed up issues of Vogue and the New Yorker, and headed back home. He walked up 5 marble steps and slipped his key into the lock on the iron gate. But at that moment, a dark-haired man with a baseball cap ran up to the same marble steps. The man shot Gianni twice, execution style. Then he turned around and casually walked away. Gianni had been gunned down by a 27-year-old spree killer, Andrew Cunanan, who was found dead in the Miami Beach boathouse 8 days later. His murder sent shockwaves through the globe. Gianni's devastated siblings, Donatella and Santo, flew from Milan to identify his body, and his steps turned into a makeshift memorial with flowers and cards. 1 week after his passing, Gianni was given a funeral fit for a prince. Milan's soaring 14th century cathedral, Duomo. Everyone who mattered to Gianni was there, from his brother and sister, favorite supermodel Naomi Campbell, and his favorite princess, Lady Diana. And while more than 2,000 people filled and filed into the memorial, camera crews were fighting for space outside. A designer to celebrities and royalty, Gianni was known for bringing vitality and art to the fashion industry. Little by little, Versace had become more of a lifestyle brand, selling everything from bed sheets to tableware. And in less than 10 years, Gianni had built an empire worth $870 million. Now his siblings had to take over. After Gianni's passing, his younger sister and muse, Donatella, fell into drug addiction, and things got so bad that she nearly lost her place in the company. Her older brother, Santo, oversaw the business side of Versace's brand, and the two clashed majorly. Born in 1955, Donatella was the baby of the Versace family, and she described herself as being the best-dressed girl in the city. Donatella became Gianni's advisor and inspiration when he founded Versace in the late 70s, and in the 80s she's even designed the company's Versus line. After Gianni's tragic death, Donatella took over as creative director, but her addiction was spiraling out of control, and she checked herself into rehab in 2004 at the urging of Elton John. After her release, she continued to push the company forward together with her brother Santo, and with Santo as the CEO and Donatella as head of design, Versace continued to create a sensational legacy. 4 years before Donatella checked herself into rehab, J.Lo wore one of Donatella's most famous designs to the 42nd Academy Awards. It was a beautiful jungle print dress in silk chiffon with an extremely low neckline. J.Lo, Jennifer Lopez, looked amazing, and everyone wanted to see pictures of her in that dress. In fact, people were so obsessed that the jungle dress even led to the creation of Google's image search function. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt explained that it was the most popular search query we had ever seen. And the Google team quickly realized that people wanted more than just text. The idea that the address led Google to create one of its most popular features is one of the fashion's favorite stories. And when Donatella showed her spring 2020 women's wear collection in 2019, She made sure to remind people of it. At the end of the runway show, a Google image search field flashed on screen with the command, "Okay, Google, show me the Versace jungle dress." Numerous images of Jennifer Lopez's original look from 2000 appeared on the screen. Then came the command, "Now show me the real Versace jungle dress." And J-Lo herself appeared, bringing internet history to life. Today, Versace is a billion-dollar empire. Donatella still holds the position of creative director, but the company now belongs to a parent company, Capri Holdings Limited, after it was bought up in early 2019. The price? A whopping $2.2 billion. When it comes to sultry, sensual, and alluring clothing designers, Versace hovers right at the top. Worldwide, the fashion design house symbolizes Italian luxury and all items that remain exquisite in quality, just as Gianni Versace had envisioned. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and don't forget to turn on notifications so that you don't miss our next video. We'll see you next time.